Hi, my name is James Bockelman. I'm an artist living in Seward, Nebraska, and I also teach at Concordia University. I've been a professor at Concordia since 1993, and my primary responsibilities there are teaching painting, drawing, as well as foundation design. And I've been in this studio space since 2006, and what I want to say just up front is how important this space has been, both in terms of the development of my work, but also in terms of how the studio itself holds me accountable. The space is outside of my home, and I feel a certain responsibility in being a good steward toward the space. And so it provides me with an important location. It provides me with space to investigate, to engage in trial and error in a very safe environment. And so I'm fortunate for that. Before I talk a little bit more about my space, though, I want to say thank you to the Museum of Nebraska Art for inviting me to share this video with you. Mona has remained an important entity throughout the state in terms of nurturing culture statewide. And so this is just a thank you and a gratitude for the ongoing support by this museum. I'm standing at the entrance of the studio, and I want to just pan back down to the back of the studio space. You can see that there are a number of different workspaces and stations that allow me to work on several projects at the same time. Okay, we're at the back of the studio, and now what I want to do is just pan to the front of the space. And you're looking at some artwork that I'm currently engaged in, different projects. I spend about 40 hours in my studio per week during the school semester. And so again, it allows me the flexibility and openness to stage various projects and to keep a number of different ideas moving at one time. Okay, as I walk you through the studio, I think it's important that I talk about different workstations. Each of the workstations fulfill different needs, and this particular tabletop contains both finished work on one side and a body of drawings that I'm still engaged with. The work here was completed this summer. There's a series of drawings, organic in nature, that I finished, and I have them here because I'm not sure if I'm going to frame them for an exhibition or if they should be placed into permanent storage. This body of work I started this summer, and you know, they really started as a different kind of drawing, and I was never really happy with the drawing on the front side, but I became really engaged with the information that was collected on the back side. And so all of this is, these marks are made from wax that is seeped through the front of the drawing to the back side. And I felt like I needed to interject a little bit of precision, a little bit of order to the randomness. And so this summer I began folding and creating these grooves into the back side of the paper as a way to inform the randomness a little bit. As I said, I'm not quite sure. Well, I need to keep working on them, is what I mean to say. This is another workspace. It contains a collection of scrap paper that I have used to make paintings. You can see that all of these papers have dense oil paint color on the edges as well as in the windows. And I started to use stencils as a way to integrate hard edge shapes into the more textured areas of my paintings without having to rely only on taping all the time. And for me, there's something satisfying about holding a piece of paper in one hand and painting against it to create a shape or part of an edge.
I can't explain it other than that. It's a haptic, sensual kind of pleasure that, for me, makes painting even more engaging. But I'm showing you this not only for that reason, but because these papers have found themselves in a new body of work, and they actually have transitioned from tools into artworks. And I'm just showing you this other body of work here. This is a series of drawings that I initiated maybe a year and a half ago. And it started when, in a faculty meeting, I was listening to the drone of the content and began taking a marker and trying to create, as best of my ability, a straight line across the paper horizontally. And I really enjoyed the challenge of that, and but then put that drawing away. I didn't touch it for a year. And then about a year and a half, as I said, I pulled it back out again, and I realized that what I needed to do was integrate the challenge of doing those horizontal lines with some other kind of imagery. And that's when I made the decision to integrate the ready-made papers that I use to make paintings with this approach to drawing. And so you're looking at 6 variations of that.
I will say there are times, though, in my practice where I'm needing to become more creative. And one of the things that I turn to over and over again are the lectures that John Cage gave called Interdeterminancy. And each of his little stories are 1 minute long, and they're juxtaposed with a score that he composed of sound. And those two are playing simultaneously. And when I listen to those short stories, I'm engaged energetically and from a profound creative way, because oftentimes the stories are unpredictable, and then when they're placed alongside his sound score, there's also very unpredictable relationships that happen. And so for me, when I'm needing to be more creative, when I'm needing to move out of a rational state of being, when I need to let my guard down, I turn to Interdeterminancy by John Cage. So as I wrap this up, I want to say thank you again to the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney for this opportunity, and I hope that very soon all of us are able to re-engage art, especially in person.